G'day guys, this is Amiga back with another video. I know I've been out of action for a while, had some stuff going on, but I just wanted to talk about the Bourke Street attack which just happened in Melbourne. I just want to go over a few things. I think it's a great thing that it's in the middle of an election. It's actually probably going to get a little bit more attention than any other recent attack, and so it should. We're at a point where we either do something, we act, or this, becomes a normal part of Australian society, and it should not ever become a normal part of Australian society. It should not become a part of our way of life. We have the tools at our disposal. We have the resolve to deal with it. Just a few things. They did locate his wife, and she's been questioned. I found out this guy's brother was the guy who was planning to attack Federation Square and was arrested in 2017 and is currently going through a Supreme Court hearing, and he's been charged with trying to acquire firearms to cause mass casualties. He's also known to affiliate with a group of radicalised Muslims in that area, which to me suggests that the idea that this is a lone wolf attack obviously is absolutely absurd, and people who are actually printing that crap really need to be held to account for that, because it's absolute rubbish. I do know that he also is worshipping in a northern suburbs mosque in Melbourne, so he's been worshipping there, and really that's where they should begin their investigation. You'll probably find there'll be a ring of radicalised Muslims in that mosque, and really they should be finding out what's going on there, and if they can prove any of it, burn the place to the ground, I reckon. But look, I know Islam itself is a radical ideology. Sunni Islam obviously is 98% of, something like between 95 and 98% of all Islam on the planet. It obviously is the most radical form of Islam. They have the hadiths. It's got all sorts of extremist violence in it. You could see, just the other day, for example, we have in Pakistan a Christian woman who's got 5 children, and she was acquitted on charges of blasphemy, yet there were still people all over the country in mass protests asking for her execution. So, how do you quantify what is an extremist and what is not? That's extremism. I mean, that shows us and shows the world that the ideology itself is extremist. And obviously when they're in the majority, it's, they're going to be extreme. They're going to, make everyone submit to the religion. They're going to kill anyone who opposes it, anyone who insults it. In Indonesia, we saw there were protests about 2 weeks ago all over the country because somebody burnt a terrorist flag which had Allah is the only one God and Muhammad is his prophet written on the terrorist flag, but not one of them got up and demonstrated when that flag was actually made and produced, when they first put Allah's name on the flag. No one protested about that. You've got to ask yourself why that is. There's been a lot of big talk about measures that are going to be taken. Obviously, if people are identified by ASIO, like this guy, I mean, his brother was planning one of the largest terrorist attacks in our country. And also, we've been told that his brother has known affiliates who are radicalised. Well, why aren't they locked up? and why haven't they been deported? And that kind of complacency has led to what we see, we've seen in Bourke Street and other attacks which have happened around the country. And a lot of that is to do with our acceptance of socialist politics. This big socialist movement we've had in our country towards the PC, with the bringing in of gay marriage. It's sort of created a socialist culture in our country where any kind of speech about anybody other than a white person is deemed racist or bigoted, and that really stifles, the conversation and the ability to talk about, the issues, the very, very real issues which are facing our country. But that's, a lot of people, they wanted diversity and they wanted this, but this is where it all leads. You have a monopoly in the government now of socialist politicians who are sympathetic to Islam, multiculturalism and socialism, who want to break down the borders and let people in and think by doing the right thing, they're all going to play nice. But we know that that's not true. And I'm really hoping that, these events have a profound effect at the elections and people start to actually wake up that socialism does not work. In fact, it leads to more issues within a society, much like we're seeing in the US as Obama led them, to a socialist sort of catastrophe, if you like. I'll just point out too that the bomb that this guy used in his car was an arrangement of gas cylinders, which he sort of poorly detonated. The car caught fire. That was actually the same bomb that the homosexual LGBTI activist drove up and attempted to detonate outside of the Christian lobby. And he was an extremist. He was a terrorist who tried to cause a massive, he had a lot of gas cylinders in that van. He tried to cause a massive explosion outside the Christian lobby, but just ended up setting himself on fire. And the federal police came out and protected him. They said there was no ideological, religious or political motivation. And for saying otherwise, I got lambasted by other YouTubers on YouTube, and they were saying that, I don't know what I'm talking about. But in the end, it came out in the court case that, yes, this guy was in fact a terrorist. He was a gay terrorist who tried to blow up the Australian Christian lobby. But all the while, the AFP and the PC culture that we have, we're protecting him. And, this whole idea that we have to, it's more important to protect the Islamic community by not having a real conversation. But, if we talk about terrorism and we link it to Islam, then we're posing, the Islamic community is going to be under threat from right-wing extremists, etc., etc. We're really past that, I think, at this point. We're really at the point where we need a genuine conversation. People, have had enough, and this kind of PC nonsense really needs to stop in this country. But as long as we keep voting for Liberal, Labor, the Greens, I think this is going to continue. And Liberal, we've seen it become increasingly socialist. It's probably been pulled back a bit now with Andrews into a more conservative sort of government. But as Labor definitely are a socialist, becoming almost radicalised like the Greens, in socialism. We're going to see a massive increase in these kind of attacks. We're going to see laws which prohibit people even talking about it. Obviously, in Western countries around the world, one person got jail time for saying that Muhammad was a pedophile, just exercising free speech. And obviously, he was talking about Aisha and, historical truths. You'll see basically a repeat of what's happening in England, happening here in Australia, and we definitely don't want to see that. So it's really time for people to speak up. It's time for our governments to act, and that's what I'm hoping for. I guess all we can do right now is just wait and see how the authorities will respond. But again, this was not a lone wolf attack. There's obviously a network involved. I know they like to just blame the boogeyman and say it was IS, but you will find there will probably be a group. They will be operating in Melbourne. There'll be a community of extremists. There may even be mosques and places like that where this stuff is being taught. And those places need to be shut down. They need to be shut down. We have to have the resolve to go and shut down these mosques and basically show the community that this kind of terrorism will not be tolerated in any way, shape, or form. And honestly, the irony when we're celebrating and remembering those who fought for this country, and at the same time putting up with cowards like this who are trying to destroy it, obviously it just makes me sick. Anyway, look, I'll be back with another video when I can. And we'll just wait and see what the politicians do and the police do and our counter-terrorism forces do. But I'd just like to really see a very, very prompt response to this. And like I said, during an election period, this is probably the best chance we've had in a long time to see some serious action, coming down on the heads of these jihadis, and probably even a larger conversation around Islam in Australia. Obviously, people like Waleed Ali on the project and all these others who are apologists, for Islam. Basically, these guys honestly are a really huge part of the problem as well. Anyway, this is Amigo. I'm signing out. I'll be back soon with another video, hopefully. Take it easy. See you guys.